Assalamualaikum to Sir Shazwan and all our guests. With me today, Madam Ainun Mardiah binti Muhammad Nasir as your moderator for our forum today. Before we start our forum, let me introduce everyone to our panel for today. First, we have Ms. Shazira, an economic consultant. Second, we have Mr. Amirul, a data analyst from Megah Corporation. Next, the third panel, Ms. Izzati, a director economics of Bank Negara Malaysia. Our fourth panelist, Mr. Hasmawi, a human resources specialist, and our last panelist would be Mr. Zikri, head of social welfare. I hope all of our panel members are feeling well today. Today, we are going to discuss and talk about something that nobody really talks about, which is about immigrants. Do they steal jobs from locals? As we know, an immigrant is defined as someone who moved to a new country. In 2020, the estimated number of immigrants in Malaysia was 3.48 million. Malaysia is one of the largest economies in Southeast Asia. It's an appealing destination for workers from surrounding nations seeking higher earning and career opportunities. Okay, now let's start with our first panel, Ms. Shazira. What do you think about the number of immigrants that are working in Malaysia? Does their presence threaten the position of Malaysians to work or vice versa?
Thank you to our moderator, Madam Ainun. So there is one common claim in popular discussion of migration that employers prefer to hire workers with limited residency, right? Such as temporary or undocumented migrants over equally qualified locals because these migrant workers are willing to work harder for longer hours or for less pay. So to explain further, I will choose our beloved country, which is Malaysia, as an example. To support my point, there is an article regarding foreign workers in Malaysia. According to the article, between 2018 to 2020, the Malaysian government officially estimated that the country hosted approximately 1.4 to 2 million documented migrants and unofficial estimates of 1.2 to 3.5 million additional migrants as reported by the World Bank. The migrants workers are from Indonesia, Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar, and other Asian countries in smaller numbers, including India and Cambodia. The rising demand for foreign labor never decreased as most industries in Malaysia, specifically the manufacturing industry, needs a systematic and cohesive team to achieve their targeted output. Therefore, recruiting foreign workers is beneficial in terms of cost and work completion efficiency. Therefore, Malaysian employers are more likely to pick foreign workers over domestic workers in the notion of being able to save up on wages and expenses. This shows that employers in Malaysia are more interested in hiring foreigners to cut their costs by paying low salary, and immigrants are also willing to do an unwanted job in Malaysia. By normalizing this, locals seems overqualified and not suitable for this kind of job. Hence, they need to find another job that suits the local more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shazira, for your opinion about the population of immigrants that is growing year by year in Malaysia. Is it true about what you say? The immigrant want us for demand or higher salaries. So many people hire them to pay less so they can cut their expenses and get more profit. So now to our fourth panel for the forum today, Mr. Shafiq, what is your opinion about our forum topic? Mr. Hasmawi, what is your opinion about our forum topic for today?
Thank you, Madam Ainun. In my opinion, immigrants do not steal jobs from locals, but what they actually do is they implement it by creating a better cultural diversity in the workforce. Now, how can cultural diversity in a workforce be beneficial, you may ask? You see, cultural diversity allows for creative and hybrid cultural practices to emerge, and it creates a general societal openness to difference and to change. Cultural diversity in a country benefits in a way where a richer level of experience, ideas, and knowledge concentrates, circulating among the multicultural people living in a country, as suggested in the pro-productivity hypothesis by Elisina and La Ferrera 2005. From the point of view of people working life, the idea of a diversified society suggests that firms with a diverse workforce are likely to enjoy different skill and problem-solving abilities which most likely complement each other, foster innovation and productivity with positive impact on wages. Another benefit of it is that it can have a global impact. A diverse workforce grants you a diverse and global perspective, a point of view rich with the incredible nuances of human experience and culture. And that means you will have a greater chance of communicating and expanding to more diverse market, both at home and further afield. Diversity is the chance to successfully develop your business in a global market. Now, I know that it can be hard to be accepting of immigrants to be working in the same workforce as the local, but it gives the company or firm benefit that local do not have the experience to give them. It is actually a good idea for companies to be hiring foreigners or immigrants that can do the job with better experiences. This is why a well-diversified workforce is important. When companies have a well-diversified workforce of local and immigrant, it helps the local by giving them job. And in the other hand, when they hire experienced immigrant, the company can benefit in a way that the local cannot give or have the experience to do so. Hence, we should not be arrogant and be unwelcoming to immigrants to work in our country, as the benefit of a well-diversified workforce can be helpful in a companies solving their problems. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Asmawi, for your opinion. The higher the number of immigrants not only bring change to employment opportunities, but also brings new cultural diversity in the workforce. So now back to Ms. Shazira again. Is there any other factor that makes the immigrants steal jobs from locals?
Yes, sure, Madam Ainun. Another factor is foreigners have more knowledge and expertise in certain sectors. Many locals are willing to do tough job but have not enough knowledge and not expertise in those sectors. And why is that? That is because employers are turning a blind eye when it comes to local candidates. Foreigners have local candidates. Foreigners have great skills and ideas, especially hard skills when it comes to tough job. The employment of foreign labor is predominant in the construction, plantation, and the low-end services such as sector, gas station attendants, security guards, and housemaid. In 2010, the number of registered foreign laborers in Malaysia reached approximately 2 million, which is approximately 17% of total employment. The figure is likely to double if the illegally employed foreign laborers in Malaysia are included Ministry of Home Affairs 2011. This shows that employers are recruiting more foreign workers than locals. The employers only recruit expert immigrants to secure a good employees with skills but wanting to pay low wages at the same time. In this case, Malaysia should start to upgrade or improvise the education system to sharpen their skills and produce more expert locals in this certain sector. On top of that, there are also a few sectors that recruit foreigners, such as recruiting lecturers for certain subjects, such as second and third language subject, or maybe foreign financial advisor for global market and foreign coaches and manager for sports. This shows that Malaysia really depends on the knowledge and experts from foreigners. So that is my take regarding this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shazira, for the point. Employers should play a role in recognizing skills among locals rather than immigrants, because it is easier for them to find a local employee than a foreign employee. Now let us ask our second panelist, Mr. Amirul. What was your opinion on Ms. Shazira's point before? Is there any benefit to hiring foreign workers rather than locals?
Thank you, Ms. Ainun. In my opinion, yes, of course, the net immigration will lead to a growth in the size of the labor force and an increase in the productive capacity of the economy. Why I am saying this? This is because the impact of immigration on the labor market critically depend on the social skills of migrants, the skill of existing workers, and the characteristic of the host economy. The immigration of low-skilled workers may expand the production provision of certain product service that use low-skilled labor intensively. The expansion of the sector may then increase demand and drive wages back up. Similarly, immigration may change the technology used for producing certain products and services. For example, the immigration of skilled workers may encourage innovation in the adoption of more skill-intensive technology, which would again affect labor demand. Actually, many countries benefited from the influx of foreign workers as it stimulates economic growth through increase of public demand for goods and services and capital formation. Okay, for example, like Australia, according to the researcher from Grattan Institute, temporary migrants make up 7% of the Australian workforce. Some temporary visa holders, including working holiday makers and many international students, tend to work in less skilled jobs earning low wages. Migrants who stay in Australia are more likely to work full-time compared to the Australian population. More than half are employed full-time and just 1 in 5 are out of the labor force, compared to 1 in 3 Australian-born adults. As a result, immigration leads to higher economic growth with a corresponding rise in tax revenues and potential for government spending. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amirul. From Mr. Amirul's point of view, we can see that by letting the foreign workers a job, it will increase the economy even more rapidly. Now we have to move to our third panel. Ms. Izati, as we heard before, immigrants require a lower pay rate and help the economy grow. So how about our local citizens? Whether they have a positive or negative impact?
A very thank you to our moderator today, Madam Ainun. First of all, I would like to state that I am fully supports the topic that we bring to this forum today. It is not me biasing a local workers rather than foreigners. It only for the purpose to support in hiring a locals in our own country. On my observation, taking a huge number of immigrants working in the own nation may give a massive negative impact on the local because the locals doesn't have the space and opportunity showing their abilities and hard for them to receive a job. In an economic term, our country will face an increasing number of unemployment for the locals compared to the rate of the foreigners. This case also will drag an effect to our country's economy as it contributes the factor of locals' operations of the outsiders. When I got to know for me to give a talk about this topic, my first thought is how it should be the unemployment rate of locals is higher than the foreigners, which is in the own country. It is such the possible thing that occur nowadays and feels like the local citizens are oppressed by the foreigners in getting a job. Based on the Central Bank of Malaysia, Bank Negara Malaysia, it shows that around 880,000 postgraduate students in the same time period, and it's only 650,000 more high-skilled positions are created. It leads to increase the unemployment rate for graduates people as compared to the non-graduates people. Although that individual is in a high-level education, such as in degree, new graduates are frequently become a main topic for the community assumption for the unemployment. As the data said that an unemployment of graduate students has increased, the more positions are made by the immigrants. They occupy moreover, the 1/5 of the occupations that have is in manufacturing, agriculture, and construction. Malaysia's reputation as a low-cost destination for international investors and labor-intensive. Many of people desire to take an advantage of its relative convenience to a higher foreign workers, and it will reduce the cost of labors, have been shaped by the reliance on a lower skill of foreign workers. A self-reinforcing perception keeps Malaysia's country keep inbound to a cheap bond that would cost a lot of money to break. This will make it harder for a local worker talent to go into a high-income job mission, which can cause the Malaysians' brain health to a decline situation. It is clear that the immigrants have it simpler than a native to acquire the employment here. In my opinion, if Malaysia success to reduce the number of foreign workers, graduating all locals may still have their own career job. I can see that there were a lot of number for Malaysians that have a skills, abilities, and desire to get a job rather than a foreigner. This shows a consistency with a lowering of Malaysia's unemployment rate. That's all from me now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Izati, for your opinion. So based on Ms. Izati's view, we can say that the number of local unemployed is higher than the number of foreigners. So what is your opinion, Mr. Hasmawi? Do immigrants give any benefit to our country or our local citizens?
Okay, thank you again, Madam Ainun. Yes, I do believe that immigrants can give benefit to our country economy. The idea of immigrants stealing job opportunity from local is a misconception that has always been in the minds of people. What they fail to see is the immigrant actually help in boosting the economic activity of a country. Their contribution to the economy has always been undervalued or disregarded by the locals. Immigrants are good for a nation business. For example, according to the Immigration Learning Center, the first and the second generation immigrant have founded 43% of Fortune 500 company, which is an annual list of 500 of the largest US companies measured by gross income in the US. And 28% of Main Street businesses were founded by the immigrant. Based on the statistic, we can see why the US is always ahead in their economy. It is because they allow and give the opportunity to immigrants to start up their businesses in their country. And the result of it has created many giant companies such as Apple, Walmart, ExxonMobil, and many more that are listed in the Fortune 500, which has positively impacted the US economy in the long run. Other than that, immigrants can also give a positive boost to our economy by helping our own local businesses. Picture this, when an immigrant is living in our country, they will be using the wages they earn to rent apartment, eat food, get haircut, buy sell food. The businesses that they pay their money to live here are also local businesses. Therefore, local businesses can also benefit from immigrants that simultaneously help the economy of our country. That means there is more revenue in selling food, giving haircut, selling clothes, and many more. Immigrants increase the size of the overall population, which means they increase the size of the economy. To conclude my point, like any positive level supply shock should increase the return of capital and spur business investment. These changes should have a positive impact on business creation and expansion, particularly in areas that receive large immigrant inflow. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hasmawi, for your precious opinion. Yes, immigrants have benefits, especially in the national economy. With the lower rate of wages and the high number of employees, it can help a country to produce more goods and services. I have a question for our third panel, Ms. Izati. Like your point before, the number of local unemployed is higher than the number of foreigners. Is it easy for locals to get a job with the largest number of immigrants?
Thank you, Madam Ainun. A great question from you. In my opinion, as in the position of a Director of Economics at Malaysia Central Bank, it's hard for locals in getting a job. As we can see, the locals and foreign are currently has been a very competitive. I've been thinking this statement for long. Why do locals need to compete with the foreigner even in their own nation? For unreasonable reasons from the head of an employer, the foreigners are more tends to a local to be given for the job opportunities. I will pick the reasons that suggested by our first panel, Ms. Shazira. The foreigners want a low wages, which is the work that should not be compensated highly. In order to increase the profits in the company, the majority that prioritized by the employers is recruiting the immigrants. A greater employment between the locals and immigrants will lessen the domestic economy that will spill over as the more immigrants pay will be sent to abroad and will increase the amount of money leaving the country. Let's look to a country beside us, Singapore. They are planned to address an unethical employment practices by developing the skills in order to meet the market's demand and produce a Singapore doing well in industry, thus improving an economic stability during the downturns era. We should look for the alternative as an effective attitude of the Singaporean politicians who are deeply helps their citizens find the employment and lowering the uses of foreign labor. From my point of view, there will be no competitive for the job opportunities between the locals and immigrants. I purposely said that the systematic employment redistribution initiatives should be used to encourage an individual from being a low-income group and losing their jobs toward the less well-liked industries. For example, passing an early childhood education rather than giving an opportunity freely to the foreign workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Izati, for your brilliant point of view. So, Mr. Amirul, did you agree that our local employees do not have any jobs because they have a high competition with the immigrants?
My apologies that I have to disagree with the statement from Ms. Izati, because actually some types of jobs are often difficult to fill by native-born workers due to low wages and the prestige attached to that kind of work. Even though I think it is undeniably true that there are endless complaints with regard to the increasing number of foreigners, especially the unskilled foreign workers in Malaysia, and the Malaysians strongly believe the country's dependence on foreign workers endure serious long-term consequences. Nonetheless, the demand for foreign workers by business had deep implication on the country economy. But in terms of economic theory, immigration of foreign workers brings good impact to the receiving countries. This is because the increasing domestic and foreign labor yield positive influences on labor productivity. Based on the figure from Ministry of Home Affairs statistic on the number of foreign workers by country of origin, identified at least 8 countries as the major source of foreign workers to Malaysia. The main contributor countries listed are Indonesia, Bangladesh, Thailand, Philippines, Pakistan, Myanmar, Nepal, and India. Based on the supply patterns, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Myanmar can be considered as the major active contributor for Malaysian foreign workforces. It also states that Indonesia has been the top all other countries since year 2000 in supplying foreign workers to Malaysia. In my further explanation, a state in the country with 1.4 million hectares of oil palm plantation relies on 78% foreign workers and only 22% locals. Without the foreign workers, palm fruits will rot and result in loss as are insufficient workers to harvest. The state suffered around 1 billion a year due to uncollected fresh fruits because of this. Likewise, the policy to ban the importance of new foreign workers coupled with active and multiple systematic raids by the immigrant and other enforcement departments against unregistered foreign workers. As a result, there is not only a construction site short-handed and plantation, but also some local furniture factories need to be closed due to the shortage of employees. Other than that, the farmers often rely on immigrant workers to pick up the crops in further states. A decline in immigration to Malaysia in 2019 has led to farmers claiming they were unable to pick their harvest because they could not get the seasonal labor. The immigration provides a benefit to business and employers who rely on flexible labor to fill job vacancies. Also, if low-skilled jobs are filled by immigrants, it enables native-born workers to gain better skilled work elsewhere. That's all from me.
Thank you, Mr. Amirul. From Amirul's point, we can see that the immigrants also bring benefits by filing up the unskilled jobs that become void. According to Emma Bata, most developing nations may gain from immigration. Not only do immigrants contribute as employees, but also as consumers and taxpayers. Even individuals who save their money to go home indirectly contribute to investment in their host nations via the banking system. So moving on with Mr. Zikri, is there any explanation as a head of social welfare regarding this issue that you want to add? Because I see you are eager to take out your gaze.
Thank you, Madam Ainun, for giving me an opportunity to state my opinion. The influx of migrant workers into Malaysia is unquestionably not a trendy or new phenomena. The draw factors that tempt individuals to across the Malaysian border are career options and job prospect, a relatively better wage, as well as other benefits as compared to the same occupation in their country of origin. Despite the fact that lower wages of foreign workers directly translate into higher business profits, some argue that this lowers the wage structure or equilibrium wage rate offered in the labor market. Since a significant portion of them are ready to accept salaries that are relatively lower than those paid to Malaysian workers, the overwhelming presence of foreign workers in the local economy has actually damaged the wage structure of the economy. In addition, hiring migrant workers relieve a number of legal requirements and other employee benefits on the employers, such as pension funds, medical and social benefits. As a result, the local labor market is put in danger, which eventually lowers locals' bargaining strength. Business owners may be tempted to hire inexpensive foreign labor to keep their production costs down. Furthermore, given their effectiveness and capacity for labor, many firms favor hiring foreign personnel. Correspondingly, Many Malaysian natives do not favor the presence of foreign employees, who are frequently seen as a danger to the country's domestic workforce. The massive migration of foreign employees into the country has led to increasing rivalry with locals, as well as a financial drain from Malaysia's economy. According to research, international employees regularly remit as much as 80% of their earnings back to their individual home countries. Since they decrease the amount of money available in the local economy's revolving stream of revenue, these leakages are viewed as being harmful to Malaysia's economy. Eventually, the economy of the nation will slacken since there will be less consumer spending to support local business.
Such a great explanation. Thank you, Mr. Zikri, for further adding to our knowledge of the disadvantages of immigrant workers in our country. Mr. Zikri, I would like to call you out again. Do you have any other opinion to discuss further?
Yes, I do. Within several weeks of the country's implementation of the Movement Control Order, approximately 520,000 jobs have been lost in Malaysia. If we don't take action, we risk losing 1.8 million employment, according to Bank Negara's forecast, said Datuk Seri Mustafa in a talk show broadcast on TV3. Based on my research, National Patriot Association requested that the country's massive population of migrant workers, which it claims possess a severe security danger, be addressed right away. Particularly in times of economic hardship, the issue of the nation's high immigration rate may result in a sharp rise in crime rate. This will be inevitably occur if foreign nationals become unemployed and lack the necessary cash to support themselves. It also appears that this problem has persisted for too long and that the relevant authorities have been keeping their eyes shut about the difficulties mentioned. At a time when the country is facing economic issues, including layoff, locals should be prioritized in filling any vacancy in the job sector. With so many people out of work and losing their source of income, I have no doubt that more locals will be eager to work in fields that they were formerly dominated by foreigners. That is all from me.
What a great explanation from our panelists. I believe that it has opened the mind of the listener, and also it can change our perspective on immigrants. Sadly to say, we have to come to the end of our forum. However, I'm sure we have received many inputs from you guys. Thank you to all of our panelists because they have given us a clear understanding, explanation, and justification of our topic today. There is no right or wrong in our forum analysis, but we have learned that the presence of immigrant is not only meant to be negative, but positive can be included too. Generally, it depends on someone's action on how they will react to the presence of foreign workers, whether they see the positive or negative impacts on our local employees. Once again, I would like to thank all the panelists from both the proposition panel and the opposition panel for today. I am also grateful to our audience as you were able to stay until the end. My name is Ainun Mardia binti Muhammad Nasir. I hope all of you have a great day today. Thank you.